Welcome to 155, a podcast about straight edge hardcore. It's dry January. How's your fucking edge, Sam?
I don't want to claim edge, but my dry January is dry. It's bone fucking dry over here.
You're actually going dry. Now, did you start when you do dry January? Are you supposed to start at when the clock strikes? Whatever it strikes.
Listen, I only started doing dry January because I got COVID.
Now, is it 12 p.m. or a.m. is what I've always wondered.
Right, yeah. If you're out at New Year's and it's like Happy New Year, it's midnight, and then you have to like go and pull the trigger in the bushes. You got to get all the alcohol out of your system and start clean right at 12:01 a.m. in the time zone you're in.
Oh no, never mind. I was thinking of doing a full year, not doing a month. I was going to say if you do that, then you shouldn't be allowed to drink the next New Year's. But I guess it's kind of, yeah.
It's maybe it's like a carryover situation. Like if you don't do that, then you have to go another month. Like every day that you fuck up. Because I definitely did not. I was not living dry January 1st or 2nd.
So you got to go until at least February 3rd, I think.
I have to go to February. Well, or according to what I'm saying, if you go over by a day, you got to go over by a month. So I have to go till the end of March now.
All right. Well, that's legally binding.
A dry spring.
You should just keep going. Why not? January is obviously everyone's favorite month, and it's not incredibly depressing at all. So
everything about it's good.
Keep that energy going all year.
Why not make it just like a little less pleasant? Why not just remove some of life's small joys from your life during this depressing, horrible time?
There's lots of joys that come with dry January, like bevies, different bevies that you can sip on.
Yeah, I keep trying to buy new. Wow, big slurp.
That was in my sound bank. I'm going dry January and not drinking any liquids at all.
Right,
I feel amazing.
You are quite dehydrated.
So much clarity. It's incredible.
First couple of days were hard, but you kind of like snapped into this other plane, I've been trying to stock up the fridge with non-alcoholic beer options because I still need this sort of beer experience in my life. And initially, I picked up some partakes, which you judged me for because you said that was like, I don't know, it was basic, it was beginner kind of bullshit, I think.
Yeah.
But that's all I've been able to cop. I went to an LCBO yesterday, and that's all they had. So
you got to go to the grocery store, bro. You got to hit up a bougie grocery store. Fuck the LCBO.
Yeah, unfortunately, the grocery store near my house just has like the core. I believe is it called Coors Edge? Actually, is the Coors non-alcoholic beer?
I've heard that. People have said that that's so nasty, but it is called Coors Edge, and like Coors Banquet beer is probably the greatest beer available to man.
It's a fine beer.
So Coors Edge. Who cares if it's disgusting? It's called Coors Edge. That's incredible. Oh man,
do you think I did that on purpose?
Like for next week.
Yeah, we should definitely just be slamming cases of Coors. Of course, 155 is sponsored by Coors Co. Like, do you think someone at some point
probably
was like
Molson in Canada? It's all Molson.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to stop talking about beer, for fuck's sake.
Well, we're talking about Coors Edge, beer flavored beverage.
We're talking about Gorilla Biscuits. Start today, but before we can start today. Oh, that was good. Oh, my God, that felt good. We got to do our special segment that I forgot to remind you. I hope you remembered about our special segment off the top of the show.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm totally ready for our special segment. If you could just go first with your half of our special segment.
Great. Well, then I'm going to play the theme song that you can't hear. So here we go. That's right. It's punk news. We've invented this new thing called punk news, and it's basically like punk things that are in the news. Punknews.org stole our idea, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So we've debated suing them, but we've decided, let them be.
Well, they are a .org, which I think means nonprofit, right? Don't you have to be a nonprofit to get a .org?
That's how that works. They check your.
Or are they from Oregon?
Registration number when you try to get that.
What if instead,
URL.
Something
I don't know.
One punk news thing that I'm wondering if you're going to stumble upon right now, because I assume your methods are the same as mine. I skipped it. But I was thinking...
No, I have a totally different method. I do not use Google News search. I have a whole other web, classic I run a real punk newsroom where I've got stringers on the ground.
Imagine that TV
from
show. The Punk Newsroom? That would be so good.
Oh, shit. Okay, somebody get working on this. I would really love to know sort of Sorkin's sardonic take on punk.
There was this Guardian article that made me really angry, so I didn't choose it for my thing, but I guess I'm going to talk about it anyways. They were saying that the new thing is called dystopia core. And if people dressing punk or dress dystopian,
that came up pretty early for me.
Yeah, it's pretty like... I was just thinking, like, I'm sick of just calling everything something core. Like, normcore, I know had a lot of haters. I thought normcore was still kind of fun. But I think after normcore, got to come up with a new either prefix or suffix to make things happen. But then I was just thinking out loud, or thinking, not out loud yet, but I was thinking, and now
you were thinking just classic flavor.
Classic.
Internal thoughts.
Thinking classic. Now I'm going to turn that into a out loud words talking. Now, how about instead of orgcore, there was a genre called calmcore, and it was like more internet-y and less annoying than orgcore. So instead of like being, I feel like orgcore is like pretending you know about books. So if it was like .comcore, is more like online, I guess. Like maybe someone should have used that. It's already seeming like it's going to be a bunch of terrible bands that sound like Horse the Band, but that's not what I'm thinking .comcore should be. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, because that's definitely where I went. I also initially, because I'm, of course, perusing my stringers sort of reports right now, I thought you could have said calmcore, and again, like in the sort of...
CALM, right.
Yeah, like, just lo-fi, chill punk beats to study to kind of situation.
Right. Have you ever tried the Calm app? I feel like you don't have sleep trouble ever, which makes me.
I sleep like the man who's never had trouble in his life.
One time I tried the free trial of the Calm app, and it was like Woody Harrelson reading you a bedtime story, and it was so distracting. It was like up all night. Like, well, this celebrity is right here talking to me. I can't nod off. What if I miss something good?
We did, as sort of a way to sort of take care of employee mental health. My employer got complimentary annual subscriptions to the Calm app last year for all of us sort of dealing with the stresses of the pandemic. So not only do they have Woody Harrelson reading you a bedtime story, but they have, musicians playing like or they've done these like hour-long sleep remixes of Shawn Mendes and Katy Perry songs. So you can like listen to In My Blood for an hour before you go to sleep.
What if it was the Calm app?
come Calm app.
So my punk news this week, I've gone with classic punk news, which is sometimes when you're searching the news aggregators, you stumble upon, like through some SEO trickery, some band that you've never heard of and never will hear of again has premiered a song on some magazine you've never heard of and will never hear of again. And yet Google or Apple News or however you're getting your fine pagemanism, it will serve it to you at the time. So this was like around Dystopia Core, around all the other stuff. This popped up as like an important article that I needed to see. And it's on outburn.com, Outburn magazine.
Oh, yeah, I'm a big Burncore is huge for me.
This is a band. It says rising punk / metal unit, the Hell Freaks is what they're called, which just seems like a fake band name from like season 19 of The Simpsons or something. The Hell Freaks? Come on, that's not real, is it? Unleash Beastie Boys cover Sabotage and music video.
So a bit of a punk tune.
They've recently signed with Napalm Records, and they're shaking up they shook things up with their new single Old Tomorrow. But now the Hungarian outfit, the Hell Freaks, are at it again with their blazing cover of massive classic Sabotage by New York hip hop legends Beastie Boys. I guess. Here we go. I was trying to find the word punk again. Frontwoman Shaky Sue's raspy punk rock vocals and angsty attitude shine bright atop crisp modern production. Bass and drums provide a tight and thick foundation, while guitars go crazy with pitched Morello-inspired solos. So I thought we could listen to Shaky Sue's raspy
guitars go crazy.
Yeah, so let's hear Shaky Sue and the boys covering Beastie Boys. And I actually just played the default Watch Together video instead.
That's our other sponsor.
Yeah. Whoa. I mean, that's I love when music videos have like a much louder, higher quality tag for the production company instead. Yes, Shaky Sue, let's go.
Oh.
I love this guy with the really old man with the braided goatee. He's so sick.
This is so fun. I feel like the age difference in this band is distracting to me.
It really
like,
is.
I know that, like, it feels like Comeback Kid kind of has the same thing where you're like, I feel like there are like 60-year-olds in Comeback Kid, but like, definitely one of these guys is 30 years older than the rest of them, and he's got
And he's doing Morello licks.
like the guitars are going crazy. Of course, like, always love to see the Run DMC on a punk.
Yeah, Run
Shirt on a
DMC
punk.
basketball jersey. I like Shaky Sue's Hungarian accent is coming through.
It's very there.
This sounds like when you see like a European movie that's like played the festival circuit, and maybe it's like one of those like thrillers that's all shot in one continuous shot, and they go to a nightclub, and it's like movies that exist in the wake of Run Lola Run, and it's always like music like this in the nightclub, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
You're like, is that what it would be like if I went to a European nightclub? that movie Victoria, like, it reminds me of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Just one continuous shot.
And then it goes, wow, sabotage. So sick. Congrats to Shaky Sue for all you've done, and all the best to the Hell Freaks. We're big freaks heads over here. Can't wait to see what y'all do next.
Of course, yeah, we've longtime supporters. Another, classic pop culture, icon in the same way that the Beastie Boys are, is, of course, Drop Dead Fred. Now, I feel like for some reason, maybe I've seen you and or Sarah post about Drop Dead Fred in the past. Maybe Drop Dead Fred just seems like something that the Hugheses would have a passionate interest in. Is that true?
No, I mean, I think I've seen it when I was like a teenager, but I don't really. I don't remember. No. I don't think
really?
I've ever
okay.
I think I've ever posted DDF before.
You've never posted DDF. Well, for those of you who are DDF, Far Out has asked the question on all of our lips this year. Like, I wish I knew what prompted publishing this article on January 17th, 2022. Was Drop Dead Fred inspired by John Lydon? So Drop Dead Fred is one of those movies.
Go ahead and real quick just perfectly pronounce the author of the article's name for me, please.
Oh, yeah, no problem. The author's name is... I'm going to go with Ogan Ling. Do you want to take a stab at that?
I feel like it probably is pronounced Ian, but it actually is. It's spelled phonetically like somebody trying to do an impression of a donkey braying. It's like,
yeah, this is like one of those rude Irish Gaelic things where you're like, everyone, no one's name is spelled the same now as it was. Yeah. Like, unless you have some Bible-ass name, right. Generally speaking, we've moved on, we've adapted. I just don't understand why the Irish insist on still doing shit like this.
So what did Ian say?
So Ian Lang wrote Drop Dead Fred isn't a great film, which I just think is like a rude way to start.
It's just
your
a great
article.
way to start. Like, why? It's even raising more questions about why did you write this.
I feel like you would love Drop Dead Fred. It's like one of those movies that
I've definitely seen it, but
sort of like marketed to kids, but wildly inappropriate as a kids movie. Like, in this article, they refer to it as an edgy British comedy, which like makes sense. But I feel like in North America, Drop Dead Fred was marketed as like a movie for children because it is, about an imaginary friend sort of making their triumphant
it's
return.
It's a very egg punk looking movie. The poster.
It is very, and it's been a long time since I watched Drop Dead Fred, but for some reason, Egan Lying has seen fit to ask the question. How much did did John Lennon influence this? I'm not sure it's even very good, and I struggle to call it good, but it's certainly entertaining, bolstered by punk-like energy. I've just done a find of all the punks. Evidently, the actor had already channeled his inner punk in The Young Ones.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That show is so annoying, I think. It's like a sketch comedy show where this guy is like a punker in it.
Oh, so there's like a whole lot of punk. So I guess, maybe this is not just an imaginary friend. This is an imaginary punk. Most of this article seems to be about whether or not Drop Dead Fred is actually any good. It looks like...
If you look up The Young Ones, it just looks like a Transmitters side project, basically.
Oh, shit. That's awesome. So evidently, for some time, John Lennon was actually mistaken as the star of Drop Dead Fred. And he enjoyed being mistaken for Drop Dead Fred, I guess during a period of time in popular culture when this movie was perhaps more popular than the Sex Pistols themselves. So evidently Drop Dead Fred doesn't like John Lennon, and it is the closest we are going to get to seeing him on screen. But imagine, the article asks, if the producers had decided to, in fact, cast John Lydon in this role. It would have made this mediocre picture a bit more memorable than it already is, complete with a menacing performance from a star fueled by adrenaline, anxiety, and general acidity. Wow.
I'm not going to pretend that I didn't, spend the bulk of my adult life writing stupid bullshit music clickbait. But, what is this?
This is really up there in
what
terms
even
of
is this?
Just imagine a world where Drop Dead Fred starred John Lydon. And you're like, what? In 2022? It's not like, when a movie or a TV show ends up on Netflix and all of a sudden everyone's talking about Frasier again or whatever. Is Drop Dead Fred so actively in the conversation that this was we might as well do this for the clicks?
Well, okay, this magazine, Far Out Magazine, I think it's more of a film buff site.
Oh, so of course Drop Dead Fred, is also
more for the buffs. But weirdly, why are they also why are they obsessed with John Lydon? Because even since this other one came out, they have an article called "When John Lydon Appeared Alongside Harvey Keitel in Cop Killer." Are they having
Maybe it's one of those things where inexplicably, and you know this from your days of publishing these articles, you just end up with a lot of people coming to your website for, I know for a long time when I worked at Exclaim, the number one search term that brought people to the website was Amy Winehouse bathtub.
Right.
Because someone had done an interview with Amy Winehouse.
So then every article you're like, low-key, this album doesn't quite sound like Amy Winehouse in a bathtub.
Yeah,
but it doesn't not sound like it.
It's if you just work that in there because it's obvious that the people
that
searching that term
exactly be what's going on over at Far Out Magazine.
They've already got...
Respect the grind.
Yeah, totally. This does make me kind of want to rewatch Drop Dead Fred, though. Now that, look, it's got fake John Lydon, it's got Phoebe Cates, all the hits, Let's see. Do people like it on Letterboxd? No.
You can't trust Letterboxd for anything. There's a lot of dumbass. There's a lot of people on there complaining that Dune is too serious on there. I've noticed people that I follow complain that Dune takes itself too seriously.
You are, in fact, describing my review of the movie Dune.
So that was Punk News. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Wow, what a great segment, hey? Wasn't that just great?
It just feels so good to be, I think for both of us, truly connected to our
it's tough
our roots as
COVID.
newsmen.
Can't go to shows also, you can't be mingling in the pit. So you got to
stay
connected.
And that's normally
with
where you get our punk news from.
Yes. They whisper in your ear. Was John Lydon the inspiration for Drop Dead Fred?
Yeah. Have you heard the cover of Sabotage by the Hell Freaks? Everyone is talking about that in the pit. Until someone is the name on everyone's lips.
They're talking about it and then when one of their brothers or sisters falls, they pick them right back up.
And pick them right back up. That's what we do.
And we should
that's
pick right back up where we left off with the other segment, which is called doing the normal part of the episode.
That was perfect.
So we're talking about Gorilla Biscuits' Start Today. Sam, how do you feel about Start Today?
So today, Gorilla Biscuits always struck me as like a real T-shirt band because I hung out with no one who like was into Gorilla Biscuits, and that mostly just says.
I mean, let's be honest, Sam. Someone's already pointed this out in the Discord. I don't want to be mean to you on the episode, but we've been talking about hardcore all month.
And all I do is keep bringing up every time I die.
Yeah, that's like your one thing that you know.
Yeah, and you know what sucks is I've done it again. I didn't even let you do it.
That's true.
But I saw that, and I recognized my own behavior in it. So like I have no, ingrained feeling about this band except for the fact that just to demonstrate like how much of a poser I am. I fucking love Quicksand. I mean, I don't think loving Quicksand makes you a poser, but like that's the stage at which I become like a Walter Schreifels fan. Is like Quicksand, and then I keep like I love Rival Schools. Like once it becomes like slower, I'm all in. And I also like didn't like love Civ, but I definitely like loved a handful of Civ songs and had Civ songs on like mix CDs and stuff in high school and in university. And so once like the members of Gorilla Biscuits started trying to sell out, I was all in. But when I would like go back, because I'd be like, I fucking love Quicksand, I really should get into Gorilla Biscuits. I'd just be like, I get, but sort of like what we talked about last week with Judge, because this wasn't like a scene that I was a part of, and I wasn't hanging out with people who were listening to this band, and I wasn't like going to shows. Like I have been to shows where bands have covered Start Today, and like people go off, but like those weren't the formative shows of my youth. And so without that, like, I think energy that you are supposed to get from this and like exclusively listening to Gorilla Biscuits as this like time capsule that I was supposed to like, it just like never connected for me despite attempts to do so. Because the only hardcore band that I like is Every Time I Die.
And are you talking about like you still, even to this day, you can't connect with this album?
I just would never think, like, when I put it on today, I was like, yo, this fucking rocks.
It's
like,
so good.
Like, it's so good, and it sounds like tons of shit that I like now. But, like, that's sort of the trajectory of my taste, is like, it's taken me a long time to, like, listen to things that didn't sound just like the two things that I liked.
Like Every Time I Die or...
18, yeah. Unfortunately.
What's the other one thing you like? The Bare Naked Ladies?
I think that's it. Yeah, those are the sort of two bands that I just think have absolutely perfect, flawless discographies. But no, like listening when I put this on to listen to it, and then I just like subsequently listened to the rest of the album because I was like, this is so fucking good, and it all still feels really fresh to me because I have like in my life listened to Gorilla Biscuits like a handful of times.
Yeah, I mean, okay. First of all, I think it's wonderful to. I think if you achieve being a t-shirt band, then you've already achieved more than any other band. Like if you could be a t-shirt band, that's something to strive to, because then you don't even need then you could just spin it off into being like a streetwear label or something, or just, being a t-shirt band is, I don't know why people have said it in a backhanded way before, because that's such a delight to be a t-shirt
I mean, we've
band.
established that, like, sort of in the context of the pod, t-shirt band is, well, maybe we haven't established this. In this instance, it's a compliment, but it's also like the way that even to like Start Today, like the colors, like, it looks so fucking different. And so, when you see people kind of ripping that off, or you can understand why someone would sort of adorn themselves with this vibe. Because it's like a fucking sick name. Like those two words look so good together.
They really do. And also, like, I think you picture this kind of music as being like meathead jock music. And then when you see like basically King Kong wearing champion gear and like looking sick as all hell, it's just like, it's perfect. It's already, the lore of the band's visual identity is already kind of everything you could ever need. And so that's probably why for me, I also never really deeply connected with their music, because I was just like, this just looks so sick. And it never really lived up to what I wanted it to sound like because of what it looked like, because I learned about this kind of music through like 2005 wave of like like American Nightmare or something. Like none of this sounded as amazing as I wanted it to.
It's kind of funny how like soft it actually does sound.
It reminds me so much
of like harmonies in this song.
It reminds me so much of people being like talking about how like the Descendants were like invented everything, and then you listen to it and it sounds so like wimpy. That's kind of how there's some like wimpy Descendants energy to this. And there's so many harmonies. And then, I mean, I've listened to this song quite a few times today, and when I first put it on, I was like, ugh, I don't really like this. And the part with the harmonica solo really does sound like the movie Tremors a lot.
Yeah. And also, like, I don't know that Bare Naked Ladies have ever had a harmonica solo, but if any of the bands that I listen to would, I think it's them.
It's true. But the rest of the album, like, I also listened to the album fully today. So much of it sounds exactly like the Bouncing Souls to me.
Oh yeah, totally. There's a lot of just like I feel like the bass is always like dude. It's like very playful music.
Yeah, it's so good. They're just really cute and good. So I do love this album now, but I wish I could imagine somebody having like a formative experience with it, and that's kind of cool. But then like even I was trying to think like this is obviously the hit, but it's not like the most straight edge seeming song. But I guess it's like. Pause. Like it's just funny how it's just like a song about cleaning your room. It's like some Jordan Peterson
so funny,
shit.
Yeah. I was like, wait, is this because this is the song? But I was like, it's not like a particularly like this doesn't make me feel really good about the fact that I'm only drinking Partake IPAs this month,
right?
You know,
but it does make. In fact, I've been sipping seltzers all day and potting. And I haven't done the dishes. And it's really, I feel convicted by this song. It's really speaking to me that I should have probably done that. I mean, my room's a mess and I can't get dressed. I got to be out by 8 o'clock. Deep inside, I know the answer. Well, there's no time like the present, and I'd like to hang out. But who doesn't? I've made enough mistakes for this lifetime. Now I'm here to make amends. It's like kind of deep and heavy, but I'm wondering if the mistakes he's made at this point in his life are like, he just didn't do his homework or something.
Yeah, like how many mistakes had the members of Gorilla Biscuits like really, mistakes that you participated in?
That's the thing. I don't really know, and I feel like this was the most danger we were in of actually the learning about facts and like going beyond the vibe base. So we're going to avoid that.
Let's be careful because like again, I'm sure if you wanted to learn facts about Gorilla Biscuits, you could listen to some sort of like. I'm going to look up what the dedicated Gorilla Biscuits podcast is called.
Well, there's probably someone called like the
Hard Times podcast.
The Punk Rock PhD or something. Check that out.
Exactly. the punk rock double major.
Punk rock PhD eligible. Or what's it called where you're like, you don't have your PhD yet, but you're still bragging that you like have spent the money and you just haven't.
Oh, shit.
You just don't have it.
The idea of trying to one-up the punk rock MBA with the punk rock PhD is a really good idea.
That's true. That's a pretty good bit. Maybe we should try that.
I think we should. Maybe that should be a new exclusive set, like weekly.
Yeah, let's skip there's a demo recording of it that we're gonna skip because that feels a little too like. Meh. But here's them playing it in 1990, and the person who uploaded this, I believe, they've so check.
I mean, just the way that looks, like it's I
think it's towards the end they play the. Look at this. It's wonderful.
I got a question. Would we like anything if it looked like this, though? Like, I've now realized, like, have we ever watched a video of a band on a camcorder from the, like, 80s or 90s and not been like, yo, this is actually quite good? I feel like we should try to hate something that looks like this.
I will say Civ looks pretty bad in this. He has like tribal tattoo energy, and he has like a chin strap. He is kind of the worst looking person I've seen in a VHS video before.
All right, there we go. That's good. We got to just offer criticism so people know that our compliments mean something.
But it's also the greatest video I've ever seen in my entire life.
I will say, going back and like listening to Civ, which I also then did today, I was like, some of this is quite 90s.
I've never gotten into that or Quicksand or Rival. I've never gotten into any of that shit.
Oh man, I mean, Quicksand is like
Look at this though. Everything's falling apart. It's just the drummer and everyone's singing along and jumping
just a
around.
bunch of 14-year-olds.
There's probably like $400,000 of merch on stage right now if it was still available.
I feel like the cumulative age in this bedroom is like not pushing 80.
So here's them playing it in 1991, and I love it. Whoever uploaded this, or maybe when they filmed it, they did this. I don't know, because this doesn't seem like it was edited after the fact. This is incredible. Just check this out, how this opens.
Last year you won 5 events. This is your first. You took such a big lead up at the beginning. How did you keep from getting comfortable and losing that lead?
Yeah, last week I was very comfortable too, but I just want to finish second for the first race. But today is a championship start, so I need to win some race. So I'll start today.
Oh shit!
Before they turn the lights on, we're gonna try to extend it. This was called Start Today.
What was that guy's like outfit? Like, was he a loser?
I'm sure it was
or
like
something?
it seemed like he was maybe a NASCAR guy or.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is so good.
Okay, this song fucking rocks. It's just
so
such a
good.
good, like, I don't even know if you could call that a riff. Like,
It's just like the chord progression is like really plodding.
it's just so good.
It's definitely walking around music. It's
It
not like
is.
I also love how the studio recording of it has like a little kind of sample of the song before it. Like,
Yeah, at the beginning,
comes
it's
in.
like with that cool little effect. I also do love "We Are in Belfast" again. Maybe Ian.
Iran.
Ian was there. You know.
You know, to be honest with you, one of the top ever exclaimed stories. I don't know if this is secret information, but let's just not tell anyone that I'm telling you this. But one of the top ever stories was this sponsored content piece about John Wick, because it said like something. It was something like, you know, real people that inspired John Wick, or it was like a research piece, and people would always search, "Is John Wick real?" and it would always land on our page. And so
That's really embarrassing.
when I interviewed the director of John Wick, I like explained this whole thing to him and how funny it was, and he didn't laugh at all. He's like so serious. And then I was like, "Well, I just want to ask you so that I can put it in my story. Is John Wick real?" And he like didn't really. He just like laughed. It was so disappointing. I still put the phrase in there a bunch, and it didn't work again.
Oh, it's disappointing.
So I mean, I think
John Wick
that's how
real?
you end up with was Drop Dead Fred inspired by John Lydon.
Yeah, totally. And definitely, like, now if they ever get to interview, you know, Phoebe Cates or John Lydon.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wait, the story is loosely inspired by an incident in Texas involving former Navy SEAL Marcos Luttrell,
See?
who wrote Lone Survivor. Wait, so John Wick is just, like, in the Lone Survivor universe?
I guess so.
Is Mark Wahlberg the inspiration for John Wick?
Yeah, I don't remember why I'm talking about that, except
I think because we were talking about Eugen Lyle again.
another punk news thing that happened recently that was not recent enough, because we like to keep it fresh in the punk news segment, which I feel like we're still in on this episode somehow. Maybe the whole week we're still in that segment.
Yeah.
But another recent thing is it was resurfaced that Keanu Reeves had said that Discharge was one of his favorite bands, and like it was like what? I
don't remember that. That's fucking.
I thought that all the like spiky punk memers were being tricked by some clickbait, but I followed it back to the source, and like it was like Entertainment Tonight or something. He listed off all of his favorite bands, and one of them was Discharge. So
He's a cool guy.
He's pretty cool, but he didn't say Gorilla Biscuits. I don't think he's posy enough.
He's too dark.
But, you know, I do think that Gorilla Biscuits, the colorful, posy vibe of it, is maybe the Spikies are winning the culture wars right now. It's not very cool, but look how cool this is. I mean, there's no way we're not going to love this. I'm sorry, this does feel a little bit educational, but this is a segment about New York hardcore from Good Day New York.
You'll be ready for do-it-yourself projects.
Yeah.
7:41
There
at the time.
are, this is like the
Dennis Richardson is in
nerdiest thing I've
studio now
ever
with some
said,
guests
but there are
and
some
talking about
pretty
what
sick
can only be described
old
as a
commercial
very
compilations on
strange
YouTube that are
result.
fun to put on in the background
Remember when you
sometimes.
used to throw
Oh,
yourself
yeah.
around at a mixer in high school?
No.
He has a short memory. Remember the
when you actually see old news footage like this, doesn't it seem like they're kidding? Because you've seen like exclusively like horror movies that parody this like in the last 20 years.
But the message is pure. No drugs.
No drugs, baby.
I tried it and I said, I don't like it. You know, it's not that cool. I get drunk and I, waste my time.
Drugs kill, man. It's important. I mean, just people walking around killing themselves, shooting up and doing other crap like that. It's not good for you, man.
Not exactly the most open-minded outlook from these 14-year-olds on the news in 1990.
Just say no,
They're going to apologize for the
teens are here
some of these
the
fucking
capital
children.
of music's cutting edge. Enjoy a sober afternoon of music and dance.
So then he goes to like a Gorilla Biscuits show, and then Civ is on the news talking about the mosh pits and stuff with this guy.
Well, after knowing that this is going on at the clubs, my reaction
Bob
would be
Patton,
that,
father of
they
17
should stick with their football, their lacrosse,
Stick to
Then I
the
would say,
football.
oh,
their
Dad,
hockey,
come on,
because
I'm not
that's where
drinking.
that's where they can take out their their physical contact aggressions.
I think football and lacrosse is just as crazy.
I mean,
as
he
this.
looks.
It's
Honestly,
rules
he
and
looks
it's
fucking
mainstream
terrible
and they say it's okay.
here.
But kids break their legs, break their necks, break their noses, and break everything.
looks
in
insane.
lacrosse. I'm sure. How often?
Like this vibe. What is
every
this?
once in a while, seriously, about
aesthetic?
every 6 months, maybe a kid breaks his nose or a finger or something from doing it. And these are usually kids who haven't been in the
I
scene
know
for a
things
long
are
time and
cyclical,
don't
but
know,
no one
like,
will ever
exactly
pull
what
off this
they're doing.
exact
Do
look
fights
ever.
break out during these concerts?
Yeah, sure.
The fights break out,
Once
but
in a while.
it's par for the course?
But a lot of times it's because a
Like, it
person's
just looks
drunk,
like- I feel like
or
this
a
is how
person's
people
stoned, or a
just dress
person
when
is
they're in
new and he's not
grade
sure what's going on.
And yet part of
But he
this
looks
whole
like a youth
straight edge
pastor,
movement
too. He
is
has,
that
like, the
no
perfect
drugs,
youth pastor
no
goatee.
alcohol.
Exactly, but the whole scene isn't straight edge.
So he's kind of talking
Yeah, what
about
does
how
that
the
mean?
fights
The
The whole
happen
like
because
only a small percentage of the scene, maybe not even like not I shouldn't say small, maybe less than half. A lot of kids are into still the punk thing with the drinking and the smoking and the drugs, or even if it's just one or the other. Not everyone's straight.
Is there a limit? Is there a limit to the level that the jumping and thrashing
In some
around?
clubs
Are there bouncers in these
Yeah,
clubs? at
some
point?
clubs they have
Who
bouncers,
is,
and some
like,
clubs
the other
they
guy?
don't bother with
They
it.
just got like
Besides
a
being the father of 7
said,
teenagers, like
but we're not
just like
doing
a
drugs,
guy
we're
who
not doing
fucks.
alcohol,
Like
and you're
that's
saying
his
that, son,
qualification
I
He has
to be in
power
this
from
conversation.
basketball and football and those things. What do you say to your son if the son says, I want to try it anyway? I mean, do you get really upset and frustrated and say, no, I don't want you to do it?
he'd rather his son be a
because
drunk
I don't
and
wanna
stoned
spend,
lacrosse player.
Saturday night in the
Yeah, I mean,
at the local hospital
imagine
and take
raising a
the hands to the
lacrosse
floor and
player,
practice
father of
yourself.
You
7.
said that there was a form of slam dancing in your son's high school?
They were doing a little bit of it at a mixer. There were girls there, however. I noticed it's mostly a male. I didn't see many girls in that group. And,
Called out.
Mostly the girls, because I mean, when you put a bunch of teenage men together and a bunch of girls, the girls are the ones who are going to get hurt. I mean, some of them do it, and we take care of them. If a girl stage dives, everybody just kind of passes her around, puts her down. But mostly they're on the side just watching it.
There's a side of this.
Has that video aged well? Yes. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, it has.
It's look at in terms of just like how it like looks, the lower thirds, the hair of.
He looks so much older then than he does now.
It's true. Guys didn't. He looks so bald too. Like he's a full half head here already. I mean, he looks like a 17-year-old half head.
He actually looks like the more mature older teen who's like trying to become the youth pastor's number one guy. So he's always like he's like leading the Bible studies, but everyone's like, "What the fuck? I'm older than you. Like, don't talk to me about this."
What does Civ look like today?
Well, I'll show you because I was clicking around looking at Gorilla Biscuits videos. I thought it'd be fun to compare old with new, and then of course,
Going.
Oh yeah,
this is the Hate 5-6 one where he put his he had
This
to like
was a long day and a long weekend. You guys tired?
2016.
All right, good. So I took a nap today. I'm very relaxed. Let's keep this fucking going. Exactly. I don't usually say let's get it on often, but I want to get it on. And if I do say that, there's usually sexy music in the background. In 2016, people still have to wear shirts that say Black Lives Matter. No shit. Brown, white, yellow, black, we all fucking matter. Everybody here matters. Do not Let the media, the schools, institutions influence you. We are one family, one people. This is called degradation.
So he's kind of. I was actually
New York hardcore guys, man.
I was really.
I just don't know.
I was actually really worried when this happened because obviously, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say I think that he didn't mean for it to come out the way that it did. A lot of people have foolishly, idiotically, Gen Xedly said all lives matter when they weren't trying to actually say it as an anti-Black Lives Matter thing. In fact, I remember the lady from the League who's married to Mark Duplass. What's her name? That Mark Duplass wife. It's not very Bechdel of me. Katie Hazelton.
Mark Duplass wife.
She literally tweeted "All Lives Matter" and had to delete it and apologize. But I was worried for a while because he said this, and like the problem is to do a good hardcore frontman speech, you have to be trying to say a really positive thing in the dumbest. You have to be a really, really stupid guy who just discovered what it's like to try to make world peace happen. And I was just worried, like, if this is going to happen now, because correctly, like, sure, he should have been pushed back for saying that. And it was in my favorite music journalist written an article about it named Noisy Staff. Wrote this. I would assume that whoever wrote this took their name off of it because I remember this. Everyone was fighting about this, and even Civ himself was screenshotted saying that he felt he was being taken out of context and he didn't mean it the way it came across and all this stuff. But I was just worried, like, if this is what's going to happen to Civ for saying this, what's going to happen? What's Scott Vogel going to do? Like,
no, that's true. Imagine, I would hate to live in a world where Scott Vogel felt silenced, felt muzzled.
Yeah, like if anything,
imagine. Just imagining a world where Vogelisms are so neutered, you know?
Exactly. I feel like obviously
take care of each other.
This kind of language is dangerous, and it empowers like the worst kind of smarmy libs to be really annoying, and kind of like being moderate can be really damaging and have lasting impacts. But I do feel like hardcore frontmen should get a Vogel pass for this kind of stuff because
yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think like watching it, because I don't remember this happening. Initially you can see to me, I was like, okay, he's accidentally saying all lives matter, but it doesn't really feel like that's what he's trying to say. But then the thing about like, don't let media or schools influence you, like it starts to feel like someone who's really concerned about like critical race theory at that point. Right. My son came home and said, Dad, am I guilty of being... This song's called Guilty of Being White. Like, it has real guilty of being white energy.
It also has kind of anti-vaxxer energy. It's interesting because that was already 6 years ago that this happened. And it's kind of like that exact statement that he just made has been part of the problem, I think, of the freaking dumpster fire that is modern life. But anyways, I just thought we should include that while we're also looking at what he looks like.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, now he just looks like Dave Dramian. He just looks.
Who follows me on Twitter?
Who follows you now? It's a big day. I will say the kicker on this is sort of wild because it sort of talks about him sort of clarifying things on Facebook, but the kicker is about chokehold. Well, I also don't remember this happening. So I guess straight edge bands are known for their all lives matter viewpoints.
Yeah,
so
the chokehold thing was crazy, but I feel like that's,
a different episode.
Yeah, you live in Toronto. You don't want to get beaten up for, the fact that you've already said that you know who chokehold is and you haven't named 3 of their 7 inches or whatever. That's already dangerous
right,
enough.
Okay.
No.
Well, I mean, of course, everyone knows that I love The Whole World is an Addiction and Life Goes On, but truly my favorite is More Than Ever.
Right. It's a bit of a lag this week, but obviously I can attest that Sam did say that instantly. No thinking at all.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, so that's what, but, so Gorilla Biscuits have been reunited for like 50 years. And that's kind of the thing, is that they just do they played something called like Dirty Converse Fest, put on by Converse or some shit like that. They've been making all the rounds and doing all of the fests everywhere.
In going through like my emails, because I was like, have I ever like really pretend? Because this is one of those things where I could see myself pretending to kind of be into it. And I couldn't really find much, but I did find me pitching a live review the first time. I think they like reunited and toured to Exclaim, where Fucked Up and Comeback Kid also played. Which I wish I'm glad that there is not a live review.
You've never tweeted about them, Gorilla Biscuits.
I checked that too. just to ensure that my have I?
I've tweeted at you about this song, but the pod already exists. That's not any tweets that we've done since the pod has existed. I think. That's not.
They're
really,
not even like fun or embarrassing because they all came with sort of some awareness that there was like an audience for those opinions.
Exactly. Although this was like pretty early on, episode 9. He said, "If you've been waiting to listen to the internet's third most popular and least necessary Blink-182 podcast, why not start today?" And I said, "This is what the Gorilla Biscuits song "Start Today" is about." And then you said, "If only the pod had a vocal booster who was also a punk news contributor to help spread this long buried truth." And mostly I'm just reading this out loud because I feel ashamed for both of us for this kind of banter. And
listen, we were trying to build an audience, you know?
Trying to build an empire. It's true.
Exactly. And look at
now
us
we're
now.
trying to push them away as much as possible. So, of course, with a middle-aged hardcore reunion means a lot of middle-aged and young-aged people are doing all kinds of different mosh moves, which means that it's perfect fodder for our new favorite YouTuber to talk about them. I already forget this guy's name.
Is it the Mosh Critic?
It is it's the Mosh Critic guy.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
The Mosh.
Gorilla Biscuits are the forefathers of both
Dan
the
Frampton.
Hoodie Goon and
have
Camo Soldier factions in the current
This video is called Hardcore
Both
Boomers.
guilds have similar play
He's done some
styles
pretty
that equally suit
serious
ground
breakdown.
and aerial attack. It is not
the
rare
Hoodie
that
Goons
both
and the Camo
clubs
Shorts
use teamwork
soldiers.
and fusion strats to increase their chances of dominance in the pit. However, both play styles
Yeah, we gotta get
overall
Dan Frampton on the pod, I
nerfed
think.
by a
This is like
staggeringly
actually
low
good
intelligence
YouTube
point.
shit.
Their only
Was it
saving
Mosh
grace
Pit
from
Analysis?
being a
Like, it
totally
was,
trash tier slammer is an absolutely broken charisma stat. Slammers who choose to slam in these styles carry the identical special abilities of unity, loyalty, and a max positive mental attitude stat. When fused together, these factions create an absolutely unfair pit destroyer. Alchemizing Hoodie and Camo skills
I'm just letting
will
him
give
talk.
you a
No,
slammer that is
I think
basically
it's
playing on easy
excellent
mode
content.
with all the cheats activated. It brings their average up to an unbeatable, beastly 97%. It is important to note that the cargo crew and the camo soldiers are one and the same. They just wear different colors based on their rank in the organization. It's been over 30 years since Gorilla Biscuits ushered in Hoodie Goons and Camo Soldiers. So let's take a look at a 2016 set to see how well these factions are holding up. Will we see any brazen slammers utilize outlawed fusion dance techniques? What up, Slam fans? I'm Dan Frampton.
Dan,
Let's
the
hit
intro
the pit
was a
and
little
find
long.
out.
Even though it was
right
funny,
away
it
we're
was a little
met
long.
by
Yeah,
Alabama
I feel like you
Jordan.
gotta get to the goods
Tope
here.
Con Hero. 180 coffin drop by Fried Beef. Then he joins his tag team partner, Dried Beef. It's Dried Beef and Fried Beef. Huge twisted Tope Con Hello.
Loving
Front
Dan's
flip Tope driver.
Gorilla Biscuits Gucci
Beautiful
ripoff.
hesitation head walk.
Dan Frampton's kind of dripping.
By Dark Cargo Soul.
So yeah, I mean, this is a long ass video.
It's
but
a long video. We can watch this in our own time, but like, look, we are obviously the biggest Dan Frampton boosters.
Yeah.
Who also have a punk news podcast.
It's true. Shout out Dan Frampton. I loved Frampton Comes Alive. Just kidding. No, that's so good. And then another kind of internet-y thing, which I don't think is sketchy, but I feel like the context of it made me think it might have been, but I think it's sincere. I don't remember, but I mean, I was researching this band, and it does seem like people generally consider them like a queercore band. But I remember learning about them on Buddyhead, and I just feel like Buddyhead is like a sketchy website in general. So hopefully this is sincere. But the band Gayrilla Biscuits, did you ever hear of them?
Yeah, this was like, I mean, I feel like they were never, because there was like Youth of Too Gay and like, I don't really feel comfortable saying, but Black F slur, right?
Black Flag, yeah.
Exactly, right?
To me, the word flag is a slur because I'm so punk.
I think there were like some people, you know, it's funny, like I made there's like an early This Exists video about this, which like I'm be curious to sort of watch through a more modern lens. And I think there was like a mix of like these actually being like gay hardcore kids, but then like, I don't know, in the sort of grand style of all kinds of shit that people laugh at for the wrong reasons, like, I don't know, but I think this is fine. I think we could definitely.
Yeah, that's a whole other interesting thing when people are, when you can't tell if something's a joke or not, but then it ends up being probably a net good. Anyways, it's kind of like interesting. But so, yeah. Anyways, I thought I would just play some Gayrilla Biscuits because the name is perfect. I don't know if they ever did cover Gorilla Biscuits, but here's a take on Straight Edge Revenge by Project X by Gayrilla Biscuits. Just play a little bit of it. Because also the joking, the fact that it's obviously somewhat tongue-in-cheek means that the production is like so shitty and sounds really cool.
Yeah. I will say Hung Queens Can Suck It is like a pretty funny name for you.
This sounds so good. So that's Gayrilla Biscuits. Just kind of needs to be mentioned, I think, in the Gorilla Biscuits internet.
I think it's important.
Sphere. But yeah, it's hard to tell. It's actually hard to even tell who was in the band because it's all just like fake names on Discogs. But maybe everybody knows except for me, and I'm just being a real poser right now. But I think Gayrilla Biscuits is kind of like a mysterious buddy head band. So yeah. That's that.
Yeah, so maybe someone can tell us in the Discord, be like, "Wow, you didn't know."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, what you just said, the Hunk Queens Can Suck It EP, the cover art is incredible.
Yeah, also. Just with the hammer replaced by a big veiny dick,
and then on the back, it's so good. And this was put out by Buddyhead, and it's currently for sale for $47. So I mean, yeah. Respect.
Damn. Okay. If anyone knows more, let us know.
Yeah, I would love to know about it. But anyways, I don't know. Do you want to get into some covers?
I do.
Well, then let's go. We're going to start with Skankin' Pickle.
Do covers need a theme? Because I feel like that was an awkward transition.
It was a little awkward. They even referenced the little dub. This fucking bang.
I like this.
More than anything else we talk about, I do get nervous when I talk about ska that someone's going to yell at me for saying it wrong. But in my mind, Skankin' Pickle is like, are they third wave? But like before it was like silly. They're kind of like they're like semi-serious third wave.
I feel like they're like third wave the way like Mustard Plug is third wave. Like they weren't full like it wasn't Real Big Fish's version of third wave, right?
Yeah, it's like
because they're like it's like Asian Man Records, like more like actual punk than just like bowling.
Right, of course, guy. Mike Park is in this, and that fits in with his whole vibe where he's like super respected, but still peddling pop punk, right?
Yeah, exactly. The respectable peddler.
And even when I look up Skankin' Pickle, references in other bands' work, Canadian punkers fucked up have a diss track about fellow Canadian rock band Billy Talent, in which they reference Skankin' Pickle twice, a nod to Billy Talent's previous ska punk incarnation known as Pez.
Oh, yeah.
That is such a funny fucked up song, where they just like, it's like something to do with Billy Talent wanting to get into one of their like arty, art gallery hardcore shows and saying they're on the guest list, and then fucked up like made a diss song about it, and now I'm sure
so good.
I'm sure they're all like they all like probably have the same like nanny now or whatever.
Oh, that's the thing. It's like I'm sure they're all friends now, but it was such a thing. It was the guitar player from Billy Talent tried to like big time his way into a fucked up show, The Bovine, actually, and then they started putting like one of the fucked up like Halloween weekend shows, like they had the Billy Talent logo on there, so it was like all the actual bands, then Billy Talent, which I think they like then got in trouble for because like Billy Talent is obviously a band with lawyers, and I think Fucked Up did not have lawyers.
Well, I can't believe it made it onto the Skank and Pickle wiki.
That's great.
Anyways, that was a sick as hell cover. It was so good. It didn't feel like it was being funny at all either. Up next is a band that I really hate covering this. I think this was for a Tony Hawk game, I'm pretty sure. It's probably how a lot of people even heard this song. But man, I hate this band, Fall Out Boy.
I like that everyone does the intro.
Yeah.
This is integral.
I just hate his voice.
I don't like that. I do not like that.
Also, I'm not convinced Pete Wentz knows how to play bass well enough to do that.
Fuck man, it's not for me.
I'm so glad we've never had to talk about Fall Out Boy online.
And we never will.
Let's start today.
It's just like I love some vibrato, but it's like not like that, you know.
I feel like we'd be better off without any vibrato if we had to have that. You know, it's not.
I guess if you had to choose to have vibrato, or like deployed correctly, great, love vibrato. But like, is vibrato a net negative in our culture?
I think vibrato is one of those things that belongs like probably elsewhere. But I'm thinking if it just stayed in classic rock, we'd be fine. You know, but
vibrato just needs to know its lane.
Exactly, stay in your lane. Classic rock and punk should never be mixed in any capacity. Okay, up next though. Because we had Fall Out Boy, and because I think probably a lot of people learned about Gorilla Biscuits through that cover from Tony Hawk, I just thought we'd check out somebody covering that cover on their guitar.
Sick.
And this person said they'd be covering one Fall Out Boy song every day. This is Bengali Bihala.
Do we know how they did?
Let's see.
I guess this is like you and me having to do like Dancing with Myself, and
I think they did. I honestly think they did.
That's awesome. Good for them.
That part sounds really good, actually. But I think it's because there's an out of tune, like knockoff Telecaster playing.
Yeah, it's vibing it out though.
It's just playing some random chord.
He's even got kind of the Patrick Stump hat.
It's true.
I can't believe that guy wasn't bald.
Respect. Seriously, I mean,
fucked up.
He is like spiritually bald. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those guys born
I
bald.
don't want to talk about them ever again. So let's move on to what is maybe going to be better, but so much worse: a uke cover of Gorilla Biscuits.
Yes.
This is Ukulele Hero, Hiro.
I would buy a card of this.
But like, were you expecting this?
The voice is surprising.
I was a little disappointed. Spoiler alert! I couldn't find anyone doing a all harmonica cover of the song.
I just also like kind of have context questions. Like everything about this is like kind of the voice, the ukulele is like scummy, but this is like
there's a chandelier. I didn't.
Yeah, there's a
notice
chandelier and like a big TV. Like it just all. I mean,
in a
this is just like
mansion. I wonder if he's gonna sing. I wonder if he's gonna do the harmonica with his kazoo. Yup.
Oh.
Honestly, as far as uke covers go, it doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah, this is definitely like peak uke cover.
Kind of the same vibe as this acoustic one that I think might be folk punk, but I can't really tell. This is Jish Williams. This kid's name is Jish.
I don't like his energy.
It's Jish with an I. Jish.
Okay.
I guess that could be my nickname in a way. I got those letters.
Jish, yeah. I'm just gonna call you Jish. Oh, it's just everything about this kind of making my skin crawl.
I think he has
Patty's Pub
right,
shirt.
That's Always Sunny reference.
My room's a mess and I can't get dressed. Gotta be out by
Which is, you know what's so funny is earlier in the episode when I was talking about not drinking any liquids and feeling like I was, I was remembering It's Always Sunny episode where they were saying that they hadn't shat and that was a sign that their body was like perfectly. And I was like, I'm not going to reference that because just repeating something funny you saw on TV isn't really a good podcast thing, but you know, Pod Magic has willed it out of me.
Yeah, that's fair. It's Always Sunny, and so Mac and Kim Jong-un do not have to shit. And maybe this guy. Maybe that's where all that energy is coming from.
He's a really weird guy. Like, there's no indication that he he has.
I don't know what type of guy this is.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's got a calendar that is a different guitar every month, and then beside that is another poster that says "Fine Musical Instruments" with just like a guitar. And then to the left of that is like a drawing of somebody holding up a guitar. And then there's like a CPU and a plastic bag and like a quarter of a glass full of piss, I think, on the desk. But like other than just being like a strange guitar boy named Jish, I don't know what else to say about him. He's definitely not a Corman. I'll tell you that much.
No. Jish. I can't. Just my brain's going nowhere good on Jish, so I feel like we should move on.
Well, I think we're gonna move on, but I'm gonna keep us in kind of the bad vibes zone.
Okay, that's fine.
This is a fella named Arden Uden, and he has
Arden Uden Glauden Gluben.
His name's actually Arjun Den Uden.
Okay.
This video, it switches in and out with black screens, and then it cuts in with him singing like not in time with the music. So, and then it cuts to like filming the TV. I think we might have seen this guy before covering something because he looks really familiar. But
yeah, he sort of looks like if the singer of 311 had a really rough couple of years.
Yeah, or like if Jacob Bannon never became famous. Or like he also seems like he could be like a member of DOA.
Yeah, totally. Definitely.
But like, so he's just like, I mean, it sounds sick as hell. I love how sloppy and cool this is. But the thing is...
Well, and even like the sort of out of time audio and video, it's all like very unsettling. It feels like art. I feel like I'm consuming art.
It really
right
does
now.
feel like art, doesn't it? So the funny thing is, this is one of at least 4 uploads of Gorilla Biscuits. Let's start today from Arjun Van Uden. This one is the actual track with like very peculiar 3D
with
animation.
Visual.
But it's
same
like
thing though, where it keeps cutting to black.
And it's like, did he actually like use some 3D imaging software from 1993 to make this?
Yeah.
Or is he filming a TV screen? It's kind of hard to tell.
I don't understand. I'm starting to feel unsettled. Like I'm starting to feel like this is like forbidden. And then now it's like,
okay, that's kind of proof that it's actually the intention was there because he did handwrite the lyrics. It's not like he just took random art.
I feel like I'm not supposed to be seeing this.
Kind of like a floating house flying out. It's really cool though too, even though I agree. I think I'm just trying to get you to hold off on that energy because it's about to get a little bit worse with Arjun. He has an animated guy playing harmonica.
Oh, I don't like this at all.
Well, let's go to his next one, Arjun Van Uden. I think this is back to... Okay, it's still the song. There's footage of the band. This one I think is a full live video uploaded by Arjun Van Uden, but it occasionally cuts to homemade footage of his children dancing.
So yeah, so it's like a live video that's like also
here we go,
color treated.
And then it goes to like family vacation videos.
All this just feels so fucking cursed.
It's so weird, but cool, I think. So this is the live video that eventually cuts back to, I want to say it's some little kids dancing maybe at a wedding or in the lobby of a hotel.
I don't like this at all.
And then here's the fourth one. He might have more. He has a lot of videos, but this is back to the acoustic version. So I think when he's... This is a slower acoustic version by Arden Newden. This one has everything. Family photos, animations. I mean, this is incredible. This is like some Devil and Daniel Johnston shit.
Yeah. This is like...
I forgot to even say...
I feel like this is hard to explain how this feels to watch.
I kind of just gave up. There's like weird fast clips of home videos and then animations and then someone skating a half pipe. I think this is the best video that he's uploaded. This is the most fully realized.
Well, there's no time like the present. And I'd like
Are you alive? Did you die from this? Are you okay?
I'm just like really distracted by it. This is insane.
I'm here to make amends. Next time I'll try.
I wonder if he has more. But anyway,
yeah, like he can't be done. Or maybe this is it. Like he finally, because this feels like the most complete statement on Start Today from Armin.
It feels like it's his life's work. Some of these shots have been
in all of them. Yeah,
as the breakdown is falling apart, it's the editing like perfectly matches the
vibe. Oh, this is just fucking insane.
It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, it's quite good.
This is this doesn't have Sundance energy. It has Slam Dance energy.
Yes, yeah, completely. So we should note that you have been and will continue to share your episode notes in the Discord.
Yeah.
So that'll include all.
And some of these
covers.
things might be so good that I'll tweet them. I might have to tweet this one.
You have to tweet this one.
It can't wait. I put it on.
Wow.
That was
Arden Uden.
That was incredible art. Thank
you for your vision.
That was so beautiful, Arden Uden. I think I want to stay kind of in this vibe zone. I'm going to play this one. This account on SoundCloud seems to be primarily kind of like, I'm sick of using the word shitpost, but I don't know what else to say. It's kind of like, weird, like hardcore breaks or like meaning like dance music, like weird like internet dance music, or it felt like one of those ones where you're like, I might get hacked if I spend too long on this page.
Right, yeah.
This is by Get Indoor, INDOR, but then they have just this like acoustic cover of Start Today that they've also listed as a Gorilla Biscuits with a Q / Fall Out Boy cover.
Yesterday on my back just to get my time. It's not as precious as it seems, 'cause I found the time for hanging out and talking on the phone. What should I expect now that my time is free and you know where to be found? Next time I'll try for the first time in my life,
because it's like a song about being unable to clean your room. The more creepy the cover is, the more powerful it is.
I feel like I'm getting really tense. Like my body, like I'm shrinking. Like, you know what I mean? Like my shoulders are getting hunched. Like
because also, like, what is the art for this upload? Like, it's so fucking.
I can't get dressed. Gotta be out by 8 o'clock. Deep inside, I know the answer.
It's kind of beautiful though too.
No time like the present.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hang
it's just a very different way of like approaching the material, obviously.
Yeah.
This time I'll try for the first time in my life. Won't pass me by. Procrastinate. It can wait. I put it off. Let's start.
It's like the soft voice. It's like the "Don't Wake the Baby."
Yeah. I mean, I can't even describe the art for this, but it's like...
It's too weird.
It's impossible to describe.
It's like a pixelated website that looks like it's like Chinese characters. I don't know. The whole thing made me.
It's very
uncomfortable in a way that I felt was very like I am impressed by.
Yeah, exactly. Like it felt exactly how you should. Okay, up next, this is also from SoundCloud. This is the user Molly O'Malley, who's just
chilling in the woods.
Very kind of like singer-songwriter, coffee shop energy, but something about this one is also very unnerving in a good way.
Lay you on my back just to get my time.
Oh yeah.
It's not as precious as it seems.
It's like the Fiona Apple delivery on it.
Yeah.
Where you're like, is this a metaphor? You know, like.
Time is free, you know where to be found. This time I'll try. The first time in my life.
It'd be cool if saying "fetch the bolt cutters" became like a catchphrase for aging
or like
millennials.
a mosh call.
I mean,
all these unsettling versions of this like positive harmonica song. Oh, the little trills.
Molly O'Malley knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, Molly O'Malley has mastered her craft here.
Yeah, I kind of like these like really eerie vibes that are coming.
Yeah.
They have to come to an end at some point, and I'm gonna make it only eerie for myself because of this art. I think this band might be in the nation. I'm not sure, but they've done an acoustic cover called "Stoked for the Fest." This band is called Late Bloomer.
So we've got a alligator surfing in shark-infested waters, kind of a floppy neon pink mohawk, shades, a mask, a PBR in its clawed hand.
Next time I'll try.
Like, how do you get? Is there just like a website you can go to like festify your picture? And just like
it's like the Vuvuzela website. It just adds like a skateboarding or surfing alligator.
This is a really nice cover, and this band is like really chill.
Yeah, this is like calm as opposed to unsettling.
Yeah. I actually think that this song works really well acoustically because, like I said, it's just about being unable to clean your room and leave your house by 8 a.m. I definitely can't do either of those things.
I mean, I don't remember the last time I left my house by 8 a.m.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
What's a stupid ass time?
So that was Late Bloomer, Stoked for the Fest. I mean, I don't blame Late Bloomer for that artwork, but great cover. Fair. I blame Sam for this artwork. Honestly,
I'm part of the problem.
There's like, it also has like a vaporwave background. Like, it's so profoundly upsetting.
There's a lot happening.
There's so much going on. It's just like a cultural discount bin in one image. It's so upsetting. But, you know, a great palate cleanser for that is, of course, people playing outside. And so this is a band called Strike.
Are they young? Are they kids?
Oh my God, they're young and they're playing in like an AstroTurf soccer field. I can't tell how young they are actually.
Yeah, they could be. This looks like a high school or something.
Either way, it's sick as hell.
They're dressed too well to be in high school. They might be 19.
The great thing about this song too, even though like when I was listening to the whole album, I was like, how is this the hit? But I think it's because it's really easy to play.
Yeah, it's like imminently coverable. I love the singer like kind of almost doing like
the two steps,
like, but just looking a little too uncomfortable to commit to anything. Like, once again,
like
also someone who's kind of
PM.
shrinking into themselves.
The guitarist who's behind the amp is definitely like 13.
Yeah, but the other guitar player who's like center stage and has like multiple wallet chains and like creepers or something, like, you know.
I wish I knew where this was.
Big shoes. Every time they kind of try to two-step, they point them like directly at the speakers.
What I look like when I try to do hardcore dancing, I just do like a sort of gentle half jog, slowly.
I'm just watching the singers making me really uncomfortable.
It's such a great way, though. They're so cute. Oh, there's someone wearing a kilt behind them also.
What?
Fuck? Did you see that?
Oh my god, this is
player.
like a talent show. This has got to be a talent show. Because the kilt is next.
Yeah, the kilt.
Oh, the kilt guy just tried to wild out and his little kilt hat fell off.
The kilt guy's definitely like in the batting cage right now, warming up.
This is the last one?
The singer handed the mic to the guitar player to talk.
So cute.
Great. I love Strike.
So cute. So this
oh boys.
This is called Camp Jam, and I thought this one was worth playing because the band is called Saget, which of course, may he rest in peace. That's very sad. And that's all I got to say about that. But yeah, this band's called Saget, and it's from Camp Jam STL 2009. It seems like maybe it's like a rock camp or something, but
yeah, that's got to be the vibe. A bunch of young people on stage, and it says Camp Jam. Unless this is like the talent show at their summer camp, you know?
Right, but like they're pretty good though. Is the thing.
Yeah. What's the shirt?
Oh, it seems like a Linkin Park shirt almost.
Yeah.
And then he's wearing like really long Hawaiian shorts.
Yeah, the kid has a great voice though.
He really does, and like they're tight.
These are like 13-year-olds. I want people to know.
Yeah.
Kid honestly has a sick voice.
And like,
I just not
fucking
expect this.
anything.
No.
But
like Linkin Park shirt.
But the problem is that it's
shorts.
actually disappointing what it sounds like. You know what I mean? So that was Camp Jam STL 2009, the band Saget.
I wonder how Saget's doing today.
Well, he's dead.
Well,
he's literally dead, Sam. But I was disappointed in that one because they're kind of good. But fortunately, there's in less good / way better form. There's two other School of Rock performances of this song. So this is the Westchester School of Rock performing live at CBGB, apparently, although in the upload they've spelled it CBCG. And this is uploaded by the school. So I think you need to go back to school. I mean, these fucking institutions that claim to be experts, you know, it just makes me sick. So here we go. Yes! Well, it's performing at Lucky Break Bar and Grill, so I don't know why it says.
Yeah.
Did you see that at the start?
Yeah, the kids just ran at each other and high-fived. Yeah. There are like 7 people on stage.
So good.
Oh my god. So
this is so Degrassi, the next generation.
Oh yeah, I want people to know no one on stage is like moving. They are all petrified and focused on their tasks.
Gotta be up by 8 o'clock. The bass player is pretty sick.
Yeah. All of the boys in this band kind of look like the kid from Stranger Things.
It's true. The guitarist on the right is not using a pick. He's just playing with his thumb.
By the way, the Stranger Things kid I'm referring to, just so you can conjure it in your mind's eye, listener, is the one who's canceled. They had that like racist prank show or whatever.
Oh, the guy with no teeth? Oh my god! He had almost... Yes!
Oh, he's laughing. He knows.
Yo, Triple B Records needs to sign this band.
Yes.
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 So sick. Okay, so that was them. And then up next this is from School of Rock Cleveland East. So not to be confused with the Cleveland Central or Cleveland West schools of rock. And this one I just love because it's the complete opposite. The little kid has so much energy that he immediately unplugs his mic.
Oh, yes.
He drops it.
Oh, yes. Oh, and this is like, I thought all these School of Rock things were fairly new, but this looks like it's from the 2000s. And they're in like an auditorium with one of those classic, like, shitty school curtains behind them.
Yeah.
And once again, there's always 30 people in these bands, and there's like 3 guitar players.
Oh, I can tell based on the credits that the singer is going to do the harmonica.
Oh, great.
This is from 2013, so yeah, quite a long time ago. Although it looks like they've actually become a band that plays shows.
Oh, nice.
Maybe. Covering Norah Jones. They really stepped out of their hardcore. Or maybe it's the school uploaded this, actually. It must be the
right,
school.
Yeah.
Pretty good frontman, though.
Yeah, like recovered pretty well from dropping the mic right off the top, which would be tough.
I hate when I do that, when I do a mic drop so early on. And it's hard to recover.
Yeah, it's true. It's really supposed to be a punctuation mark there. Yeah, get that harmonica out.
He's trying to figure out his mic.
Oh, no. Okay, clip it in.
Clip it in. Hurry up, you gotta get your harp out,
There
bro.
are two people right at the front of the stage, too, which I've just clocked.
Well, he actually learned the solo.
Oh, he's nailing it. They just found like a whole other register for their voice, hey?
Like, oh my god.
Oh, I feel like if he hadn't dropped the mic to start, we would have got
that would have been so hard. Yeah.
That was great, though. Good job, School of
I feel like
Rock,
it'd be
Cleveland East.
Kind of sick. You know, we were talking about our favorite new band, The Hell something earlier. The Hell
People, yeah.
The Hell People. The Hill People is what I'm thinking of. They're called
Hell Freaks. The Hell Freaks. How did we forget?
We were talking about the age disparity in the Hell Freaks. Well, what if there was like a hardcore band where the singer was just like a 12-year-old boy and he had a voice like that? That would be pretty cool.
Because there is like, there's like Hate Beak and all, whatever, but like just the idea of like a totally normal hardcore band where it's just a 12-year-old boy who like is sick. That would be great.
Exactly. So we talked about Gabriel Biscuits earlier. Our penultimate cover this week comes from Girl Illa Biscuits. I didn't really
not just at the side of the stage anymore, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Civ, like you said on the fake news earlier. This is from 2012 in San Francisco. The Knockout SF. I didn't read anything about this. I don't know if it's like members of something else or. I feel like this seems really fun.
Yeah.
And very like 2012 to do like a fun themed cover band and play at the Knockout SF. This feels right,
Absolutely.
And then also this filter on the camera is very 2012. I mean, they're killing it. What more can be said, really?
I found their Reverb Nation page where we could check out their logo,
sick.
which is the gorilla, but like with a skirt and a ponytail.
Perfect. That rules. They have a screenshot of a review, a positive review.
Yeah.
I mean, they're sick.
Yeah, this is awesome.
It looks like they set up extra mics so that people in the crowd could sing rather than having to. That's
awesome.
Kind of a smart idea rather than having to share the mic, which, it looks so epic whenever hardcore guys pile onto the mic. And you can never hear them. Somehow the technology has never evolved enough where you can actually hear what the guy is saying.
All those guys.
Or you can
My
hear
favorite thing
it
is
too
when
much.
one guy gets a mic and you just like, start today! You just get like some really bizarre sound.
Yeah, it's so good. So giving them their own mic is kind of, it's interesting.
Then you have control,
For sure. So finally, because this week's guest is actually, I was so excited to talk to the publishers of Drawdown Booking. Well, they do make books, so that's why I said that. But
they're booking.
They're booking, and they're also a married couple. So that's kind of exciting to me, as I'm also a member of a married couple, and as are you. And I thought,
yeah, it's great to see married representation.
It's true. We need married biscuits, and that's what we get. This is wedding karaoke, and it's the freaking bride singing it.
Amazing. Oh, dude. Okay, so this is like a very 2000s video. Everyone's in the hall. They're in their suits. This otherwise looks like a pretty... This isn't like a punk wedding. This looks like a normal,
I feel like
nice
people
wedding.
loved Gorilla Biscuits in like the late 2000s and early 2010s. That was like
Is the
time.
wedding band going to play?
I guess so.
They're like... no, must be a karaoke version.
This is Shyla and Tote. It does sound like a real band.
It does, but it says karaoke, so...
But you know, like wedding, you know how they have like punk karaoke or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Live karaoke.
It is a thing.
For a while, the guitar player from Moist did live karaoke at a bar called the Ossington. He played Moist songs with members of Moist.
Disgusting. We need the bride to sing.
Yeah, so far,
I'm sick of Tote. I want to hear Shyla. I hear some kind of accent, I think. This is one of those kind of... I mean, this
Oh,
rules.
yeah, Shyla's... okay, this is fucking awesome. Okay, no, there definitely is a live band playing. Because I think the band is who uploaded this. The Diamonds.
Where are they from?
This feels very Dutch or something, right? I don't know.
Oh my god, yeah, there's like... This same wedding, they played Earth Crisis.
Oh my god, they played Firestorm! Fuck yes!
You did today. This is so sick.
This was a cool wedding.
But it's also the kind of thing that is like perfectly made for the internet. Like people who've never been to a hardcore show but experience it exclusively through comment sections to go crazy on here. So Andrew P writes, that's what hardcore weddings should sound and be like. Fucking brilliant and original, all caps. Amazing idea. We were totally going to do that here in Winnipeg, not for a wedding, just a karaoke party.
Okay, so you were just going to cover Start Today.
Right.
I love the idea of singing the song Start Today.
I love you guys. This piece of film is inspiring. I wish you guys the best and to stay HC. Much respect from Chile. Dude, you rocks forever and ever. I hope to God my wedding is this awesome. HXC. The coolest thing ever seen here. Wish you the best. Stay hardcore. Fantastic. What a couple. My dream wedding. Best wedding ever. I
like one of these comments that just says, "Are you joking?"
No, like what does that mean? Is it good or bad?
Killing the vibe, eh?
So cool. I mean, yeah, that's adorable. I hope that Shyla and Tote are doing great and staying strong. And now let's go over to another married couple. Okay, that's that. And then we just got to do the complaint department.
Fuck yes.
I'm going to play... Okay, 1 second. Welcome to 155. Some guests that I'm very excited to get to know. Welcome to the show, Christopher and Kathleen from Drawdown Books. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Josiah. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So, I mean, how I heard of Drawdown Books, actually, I mean, there's a lot to get into. I mean, you would have to listen to 5 years of this podcast to really understand who I am and where I'm at as a person. But, you know, I grew up kind of around hardcore, but I never was fully into it because I was always kind of into more the arty side of things and kind of the more kind of like, you know, the things that thought hardcore was jocks, essentially. And as I've gotten older, and also when I quit drinking almost 5 years ago, I've really kind of, it started resonating with me, like straight edge culture and hardcore. And I mean, just my love of, you know, athletic wear as well. It's just all come together in one place. And so for my birthday last year, my wife, like we both love art books and we love, you know, just like cool books and stuff. And my wife, Sarah, I got to shout her out. She discovered Drawdown Books and got me a whole kind of care package from you guys. And I've been obsessed with it ever since. And so when we decided to do Dry January, I was like, I mean, I was just brushing up on your Good and Plenty zine reissue today, and it's kind of the perfect thing because what I love about it is it's like there's been so much talk about early American hardcore and culture over the last, 10 or 15 years, but it's usually just like old guys talking about old guy shit. And it's not kind of what I love about especially the Good and Plenty reissue is that you kind of have elevated it to an art, like you treat it like it's fine art. And so that's, I don't know, I'm just kind of gassing you up so much before you even get to say anything. But so I'm excited. There's the married couple aspect is exciting. And I guess to start off, tell everybody what Drawdown Books is, maybe.
Yeah, so Drawdown is a project we started in 2012. We're both kind of graphic designers, and we would go to like the New York Art Book Fair. There's also the Los Angeles Art Book Fair. So it's a lot of like artists and designers and just creatives that are producing publications of some kind. It could be zines, it could be big art books, photo books, books with text. And we really wanted an outlet to sort of capture some of other creative work we were doing and then just participate within this, really like the art book fair circuit is a lot like hardcore punk shows that we grew up going to. Kathleen comes from San Francisco, and she was like familiar with a lot of West Coast bands. And I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I was like in the Northeast, East Coast band. So we had this like background of, going to punk shows. And so the art book culture was very similar in a way of like a lot of just like DIY, people kind of producing and making things on their own and just distributing and getting them out there, sometimes just giving away stuff for free, just that idea of distribution and sharing information.
So actually, like, we went to a fair as like visitors the first time, and we're like, wow, this is so cool, just having all these conversations with people just making work, not so much to make money, but just because they had this compulsion to make art or make zines. And we connected with that. So we made it our goal that year. We're like, let's try and get into a fair ourselves. And we thought, what would we do if we won the lottery? We'd start like producing our own books. So, as like our couple hobby project, that's what we decided to do for the next year.
So did you win? You won the lottery then? Is that
Well, someone in our town had run the lottery. So, that of course made us ask like, well, what if we won all this money? If we had all the money in the world.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so no, we didn't win the lottery, but it definitely stemmed from this conversation, though. You know how you just pick up things and you think, if I could do that, I would do that. And so I think coming from a punk background and like doing a lot of DIY stuff when we were younger, when that happens, when you're like, I would do that if I could, it's like, well, why not? The why not always comes up. And that's really how we just started making work and producing work and being part of this community of bookmakers and publishers.
And the name Drawdown comes from offset printers who print things. When you're printing a project, they often, you can print specific colors. And if you're printing, say, Pantone 072 on uncoated paper, it's going to look different than coated paper. It's going to look different than an off-white paper. So you request what's called an ink drawdown. So I might be interested in 3 different blues, and I can try them how, they each look on the paper I'm thinking about. So it's really like we were drawn to the idea of ink drawdowns being a sort of example of just experimentation, like doing something to see what it's like. And that was a kind of main model in terms of our earlier publishing, where we were like, we want to do like a 2-color photo zine. We want to do a photo zine on newsprint. We want to put out a DVD, so we're working through all the kind of mediums of publishing just to kind of see how they're different and how they're similar. So that was kind of, I think, continues to be the driving spirit in a way of our publishing venture.
It's real. I mean, I highly recommend everybody check it out, and we'll put all the links everywhere and everything. But I love, it. If we didn't find the few hardcore things, it is just kind of like a celebration of typography and of design and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's really, you've just curated such a great collection. And I was curious, so then is it, I could see maybe, is it kind of like inspired by distros as well? Like, because you don't have an actual store, right?
I think we're going to have to go into Chris's background here. He's going to do a reveal maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I did do like this T-shirt thing in the 90s called Andrew Thomas Company that was like all kind of straight edge and vegetarian and vegan things, and was like a distro too. So I distroed like Initial and Doghouse and Revelation and pretty much all the hardcore stuff. So yeah, I had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. And when Kathleen and I first met before we started Drawdown, we did a project called Part of It, where we were looking at what kind of things we can do to sort of engage with kind of issues you would see typical in hardcore shows, but having designers or illustrators design a t-shirt and a tote bag about a cause they were interested in, and then the proceeds of those sales went to the charity of their choice. So it was really a kind of, we're just sort of like a trajectory of like, distroing at, hardcore shows, or like, how do you do that now when you're not really at hardcore shows, but you're in another kind of world, the real world, for example. So, making t-shirts and tote bags. Ultimately, we found that a lot of people, designers we wanted to know, were really interested in designing the next t-shirt and tote bag, but selling them was a whole other thing. So,
right.
Stocking t-shirts and stuff is definitely gets tricky. So we were happy to kind of stock books in a way, because there's one size fits all.
Yeah, fair enough. That's cool. So, I mean, obviously, like I said, it's just a very deep catalog that you guys have, both of distribution titles and your own stuff you put out. The Good and Plenty Hardcore Fanzine reissue, so it's the reissue of the infamous Good and Plenty zine 1989 to 1992. I mean, first of all, it's stunning. It's so beautiful, this book. I love it so much. And I was just reading through your essays that you've written, and I just love, like, what I can't believe, it's just my favorite to see you do something like compare the logo of the record review section to the expressive forms of Art Nouveau, and kind of like these like footnotes are just so. I think what I always wanted to do with this podcast, we used to talk about every Blink-182 song, and I wanted to kind of try to analyze it from that highbrow lens, but unfortunately I'm just way too goofy, and I love to make dick jokes as well, so it didn't really work. But I do respect that so much, of like taking something considered low and then kind of showing that it is part of a larger art tradition. Tell me a little bit about that, and like, do you think that you can do that with any lower art form, or do you think that's specific to hardcore, that there was this kind of maybe accidental tapping into kind of the history of art or something?
Yeah, well, I'd say we definitely spent a good amount of time thinking about that. The way we came to this project was Kathleen and I were just talking about possible things, and I had told her, like, the first fanzine I remember buying that had an impact on me, it was like the first piece of graphic design in high school that I thought, ooh, I like this. There's something about this, and it made me want to make my own zine, was Good and Plenty. And I was over this one of my friend's house, who was a punk kid and wasn't as into hardcore, but he was like, oh, Chris, he knew I was kind of like rotating around what straight edge would be, because, and he's like, Chris, this zine, you need to order it, and it was in Chicago. I sent him $1 in the mail, and then I got it. It was issue number 3, which we wrote an essay about. And to me, it was just the perfect, issue. I think it had Gorilla Biscuits in it, Judge, Bold, Instead, and that was Gabe Rodriguez, who produced Good and Plenty. That came out in, I think, 89 it's dated, and I probably didn't get it until like 91, so it was like, and by that time all the bands had kind of broken up too, so there's no chance I was going to see them, and I was really like living through these interviews and the sort of grainy black and white photos of what the singers look like. And so we had talked about it, and we decided, let's see if he's still around. And actually Gabe was like, I have the entire archive, I can send it to you. And he put out 7 issues. And I think one of the reasons it also resonated with me as a young, not yet a designer, was Gabe's family members worked in an offset printer. So while other zines were like always just photocopied, at some point Gabe started offset printing his. And that really caught my attention. I didn't know it was printed nicer, but it was like real printing. And that just had an impact on me and stuck with me as we came through. So when we were thinking about how to do it, we knew we wanted to print all of the issues, but we wanted it to be more than that. And we love watching documentaries about all of our favorite hardcore and punk bands. But often, as you mentioned earlier, it's usually like people involved in the scene who are kind of just remembering how it was, or, recalling, different fights or crazy things that broke out. And we were like, that's definitely been done before. So like, what can we do? And I think, one of the main missions of Drawdown too is really bridging different communities and subcultures and finding ways to kind of connect these different scenes.
And as you pointed out, sort of bringing low and high or vernacular and polished, it's kind of breaking down those boundaries. Like you'll notice in our catalog, we'll have like zines by students and people who aren't skilled with graphic design, but are just doing stuff out of passion, as long as like alongside really commercial books or fine art books. And I think having those things speak to one another, and that's happens at art book fairs too. Like you'll just get a mix of like, teenagers making comics alongside contemporary like performance artists making like beautiful $1,000 books. And I think having those people in the same space, like there's just this really interesting thing that happens as you begin to realize how porous those boundaries are. So that was part of our goal with Good and Plenty, was to sort of steer away from the pure nostalgia factor and maybe open this up to audiences, like people who might not be naturally attracted to it because it's about hardcore, but connect with people who might be interested in typography, just have these sorts of communities looking at the same work and experiencing it in different ways.
And really, Gabe didn't go on to be a graphic designer, but the design is really good, and he only had a typewriter, the photocopier, like photocopying zines. And Gabe, I remember, was very generous too. When I started my fanzine, he'd sent me bunches of photos to use and work with, and I think he did that for a lot of people. But what we noticed was a lot of graphic designers we know came from hardcore and punk and backgrounds, right? So we knew that there was this that it's been that hardcore has been very influential on a whole generation of graphic designers, because we were really interested in the visual culture of that subculture. So yeah, we were really reaching out to different people to kind of write about it and look through that lens of graphic design. So we invited like Christian Henson, for example, who's was a graphic designer who graduated from the Yale University School of Art, and his whole thesis was about sort of his relationship with his brother, who was all into like death metal, and how when he needed to help his brother, he like had to go through the whole collection and really looking at the typography of all those metal logos. So he in this book like looks at the city typeface and the other like slab serif that is just sort of synonymous with straight edge hardcore. And then we asked like Briar Levitt, who's this scholar on graphic design from the Northeast. And she at first was hesitant. She's like, well, I'm not really from the punk. And we're like, but that's exactly what we want, And she wrote the history of the photocopier and kind of talked about its influence on all of the sort of subcultures and the way that they could. But like, yeah, I think we were really interested in those outside perspectives, because now I think this book probably came out 30 years after, Gabe had like finished his zine. So it was like a nice point too, to really like look back at this, and how far we've come and the kind of influence that it has. And people still remember the zine, and he put out 7 issues total. The first one maybe was like 50 copies, and then
and that was part of it too, is like it serves this great purpose for those people who always wanted to see the first issue, but those were so rare, almost no one could look at them. And we have the original archive, so we could, part of it too is like the actual artifact, like how Gabe made the zine, showing that, like the cutting, the pasting. For us, working with the archive, seeing the actual photographs laid down on the paper before he photocopied, that was really great. And I think to kind of showcase all of that so that it's understood not just as like a piece of history that's interesting to people who are interested in the music and the subculture, but really as a piece of larger history. Like it actually encapsulates a technological shift too, because desktop publishing is taking off. So we can connect it to all these broader themes and weave it into like this bigger arts narrative. And to your point about how you enjoy those comparisons, like the Art Nouveau and the typography, for us, that's always so enjoyable to take a close look at things and really start to even if the person making it isn't aware that they're within this matrix of influences, you're still operating within those influences. And so taking a backwards look and then putting the narrative around those products of production, I think it creates a bridge between all of these different movements and communities, and the teenager in their bedroom making zines and the fine artist 30 years later who's like interested in mass culture production. I love those conversations and influences.
It's so cool. And I think also, I forget which essay it was in, but something else that struck me that I wanted to ask your thoughts on is there's mention of the prevalence of Champion hoodies in Japan or whatever. And I think probably even since you published this, it's like Champion has been everywhere for the last couple of years. It's like so popular. And that's obviously one of like hundreds, if not thousands of things that are from kind of hardcore punk subculture that have just infiltrated whatever monoculture exists still. Why do you think it is that like hardcore is this sort of nucleus or like well of inspiration that still pushes like streetwear and fashion and graphic design and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, I think because it had such a clear idea of what it wanted to react against, right, with the sort of like, punk aesthetic that came before it, where it was all about maybe disorder and like chaos and like messiness, so like it was like this idea of being really clean cut and, to kind of reject the more like punk jacket, like leather jackets and spikes to like be more athletic. I think and the shorter haircuts and I think the Air Jordans they were wearing at the time, I think, it was just so clear and distinct and kind of timeless in a way.
Well, I think too, like the subcultures swing back and forth, we'll go into like a really clear minimalist and then the generation feel like you have to shake it off and move into the next thing and tapping back into the subcultures of the past is always one way to reinvigorate sort of the fashion of the present, so I think that's really appealing. And then, I mean, I think the branding of some of the companies that were associated with hardcore, like the Champion graphic is just so clean and sort of everlasting, and so communicative that remains sort of this steady like beat underneath all of the different subcultures that choose to adopt it. Because that's one thing I'm fascinated by is how there will be certain sort of effects of one subculture and then they bleed into the next one. And then, maybe the child subculture doesn't even realize they're taking this antecedent, but it continues to roll over. And then there's that meaning that's associated with it for different people who see it, where some people see like that trajectory all woven together and some people are only associating with the small piece of it that they know. So,
Right. Yeah, no, that's so cool. So obviously you're here because it's Dry January with X's all around it. That's kind of our tongue-in-cheek branding this month. I think something that's been interesting is seeing that there are still maybe so many misconceptions or maybe even accurate conceptions of straight edge. People still think that it's kind of like jocks that will beat you up, kill everyone with a beer in their hand kind of vibe. And I think that does exist, but even revisiting this zine reissue, I was like, these guys dress like jocks, but they're just like nerds thinking about fonts also. So I don't know, maybe what do you guys think about straight edge and kind of, how has it influenced you or not? And, have you ever beat someone up for drinking a beer?
Yeah.
The nonviolent part of being straight edge is always really important to Christopher, I think.
Yeah, I got really into nonviolence when I was in college, and with the Andrew Thomas Company, we made a riff on the "It's Okay Not to Drink" shirt that said "It's okay to be nonviolent," which I loved, but I'd have to say was not one of our big sellers.
So in the world of straight edge, we're in the stream that's nonviolent, and that probably does occupy that nerdy section that you were identifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen a lot of people who were like straight edge and hardcore, really into straight edge and veganism and vegetarianism. And then, after into their 20s and 30s, maybe drifted a little bit from that, but then came back to it and really re-embraced it. As you see, again, the benefit of it, of really helping give you focus and feeling good about yourself. And maybe, I think something
I think too, like, seeing the effects of drinking and living a life that wasn't straight edge, like we've seen like how that affected people that we know, and we've lost some friends. And I think, as Chris was saying, like as you get older and you see the effects, drinking and smoking and eating meat. It begins to just be a stronger compulsion to stick to being straight edge if you are straight edge. And I have to say, too, once you're sort of no longer a teenager, no longer in your 20s and your 30s and 40s, I know that we don't tend to have conversations about being straight edge with people, but people do notice like that we don't drink and we don't eat meat and we don't smoke. Like there's a lot of things that we don't do, but it just doesn't sort of come to the surface quite as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it's probably more of a teenage thing to really be fighting about labels and whatnot. But yeah, I was surprised that, our mostly ironic, like semi-comedic podcast doing Dry January, people were still like, oh, fucking straight edge bros. I can't believe there's still, it's like kind of still some B9. Yeah, people are still trying to shake off the B9 message board feelings of their youth, I guess.
Well, Kathleen did something funny the other day because she used to buy the sort of knockoff X watches, and they'd always break. And now that she has the Apple Watch, she took a picture of one of her old X watches, and then you can use that as the
that rules. That's so awesome. Well, that's the other thing is like, you could just choose not to drink, or you could enter this whole world of really fun merch that you're allowed to buy. And that's what I think is cool about it. It's like a secret club.
Yeah.
That's great. So we're putting this on an episode about Gorilla Biscuits Start Today. How did both of you feel about that song? You have any history with that song? I would assume you probably do.
Well, it was one of my favorite albums growing up, and I think it's still one of my favorite albums. I just remember I had it on cassette and just like, looking at that single photo of like Civ from the back and thinking his haircut was so cool and his like hands are out and just wishing I could see the band, and didn't when they were together. And then when Kathleen and I started dating, the Gorilla Biscuits actually got together and were playing reunion shows, and we saw them in Philly and probably a couple of other times. And I feel like a lot of those bands that I thought I'd never get to see and that, it seemed like they would never reunite, actually have. And, it's been great to see it.
Christopher knows the lyrics to Start Today. Like he was talking to his brother the other day, and they just started singing the songs with each other. So when you said that was the song you were concentrating, I was like, oh, that's so perfect, Chris. Like I know you know that from top to bottom.
You're just gonna force your husband to sing it in its entirety right now.
But actually, we have a nice text from Walter in our book too that really like we'd only thought if we were lucky he would do a short introduction, and he got like really into the writing process, and he was like, actually this is going to be a lot longer. Is that okay? And we're like, yeah, totally okay. I think his text, we were just like when he sent it back to us and then we sat down and read it together, we were just like, wow, this is just so great. Like the tracing of it. And then it was Walter's idea, because Gabe had interviewed Walter both when he was in Gorilla Biscuits and then later in Quicksand, which was like, just these issues that go from 1989 to 1992. And for a band like Gorilla Biscuits to then members being in Quicksand, you see that how quick that progression was of musical styles, right? But actually, Walter's idea was like, hey, is it okay if I reach out to Gabe and ask him a few questions? So in the back of the book is Walter interviewing Gabe, which Kathleen thought was a great...
I thought that was so moving. Like 30 years later, like the circle comes through. And also, the generosity of Walter to take up that task and do that, I just was like super impressed. And I have to say, like, I think that's what I love about hardcore is just how approachable everyone is, especially now as we're 30 years on into being part of the community. Like there's just a real sort of sharing of expertise and knowledge and approachability to people that I really appreciate.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. That's the thing about this book is like, it's as much the American hardcore documentary as it is the Helvetica documentary, but it has like those equal things. And I think that's really what you see coming through. That's probably why Walter wanted to do it. 'Cause it's just like something that didn't maybe get its full due at the time. And then you've created an opportunity. So, great work. Honestly, it's so sick.
Thanks. And I'd also say, we're just based right outside of New Haven right now, which was the original, starting point for Revelation Records that I think is so critical to the preservation of a lot of these musical acts. And, it was kind of interesting to find out that all of the bands when I was in Pennsylvania that were like New York hardcore were actually like Connecticut hardcore, like Youth of Today. So yeah, I think I just really respect the fact that Revelation, made all of these great releases, put so much thought into the graphic design of them, printed them with full color, made them look good, gave each band a unique logo, choosing a thoughtful typeface. And then as other bands were kind of quickly changing and deciding, oh, we don't like that anymore, we want to move on to the next thing, they really just kept those things out there and kept producing them. And I think there's other great albums and bands that didn't have the benefit of being on Revelation. And then those labels have folded and you can't really, find, it's not as available. Right. So I think that ability of what for me is inspiring about Revelation is just kind of sticking with something, just believing it and just keeping it there and out there for people. And then more generations kind of come to it anew and can experience it for the first time.
Yeah, I guess I was actually curious about something like that. It does, I guess, run to sort of the flip side of all the nice things I just said. It is almost in danger of becoming something like jazz or even rock music, where because it's such a clear aesthetic, and now that you've kind of perfectly encapsulated this moment, does that mean it's obviously it's not dead, but does that mean that it can't evolve? Or does that mean do you know what I mean? Kind of once it's been defined, is the magic, have you bottled the magic?
Well, I think the subculture of hardcore is always continually evolving. So this is sort of a snapshot of one moment in time. And certainly, I think in the future, you'll see people hark back to it. But I'm really excited to see the new visual identities, when people look outside of the subculture and draw new things in, or when there's more of a sort of global embrace and there's sort of different kinds of hybrids emerging. That to me is super interesting. I'm not interested in the perpetuation, but I do think it's helpful to identify what those visual moments in time look like. But I think, encouraging new visual experimentation is really also what we're interested in by making sure that this is identified and recognized. It sort of just builds a foundation for people to continue to build on it. I hope it's not pointing people to you must do this in order to be hardcore 1993.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think any band that Dan Yemin starts is always one of our favorite bands too. And that kind of reinvention of it, or we're big fans of Lifetime too. That I think was a different kind of twist on taking what you loved about old school hardcore and then making it melodic. And so I think there'll continue to be those sort of reinventions or sort of merging with other genres and seeing that involved. But then there's also people that want to recreate that too. So you're going to get both of those things. And when we were doing research about the two typefaces, right, the one that was first used in the SSD Control album. And we found this band, I can't remember their name, but they were a new old school hardcore band in Japan, right? So the international market. And they were basically using the same two typefaces that Judge used and Floor Punch used, and, those two slab serifs. So it's there are those kind of indicators, those things that symbolize ooh, we want to be this, so we're going to use this kind of thing, and then you can be that. But then again, it's happening in 2020 in Japan, right? So it's going to definitely be different as much as it wants to be the same. So it'll be a different thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't agree with my question, but I was just playing devil's advocate. So, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, please plug away. If there's anything people should check out, obviously, go for it.
Yeah, so we're currently at the printers now with a book. This is just a little paper dummy that's called I've Got Something to Say, Poster Inventory, 2013 to 2021. So basically, Drawdown released a free poster for every book fair. So we have 50 posters over the course of the years that. So this book is going to basically show those and have different essays. So there's our hardcore fanzine posters are in here.
And one of the essays by Ian Lynham, our friend who actually teaches in Tokyo, talks about actually what we mentioned before, the sort of connection between a lot of graphic designers and hardcore and punk, and how like the DIY ethos has sort of folded itself into a lot of professional graphic designers who also have these sort of self-initiated practices like we do, where we're not doing things that are client-based. I mean, we do to fund the work that we're producing ourselves in our own books and projects.
And the name is taken from the Misfits song "Last Caress," right? So you can see different writers here spinning why we chose that name. And we have an essay in here actually called "The Last Caress" as well. So it's a continuation of our sort of merging of graphic design and punk.
And all our publications do that, like we're educated within like, some fine universities we went to, and we have this knowledge of graphic design and illustration and fine art, but we also come from this punk hardcore background. And so we're always interested in just having the projects that we do reflect our interests. And sometimes it connects with people, sometimes it doesn't. But we're just part of the conversation that's being held, about art and about design, music, and culture.
Yeah, and the other thing, we didn't publish this, but at Drawdown you can also find other interesting things about like hardcore and punk. There's this one zine put out by Mark Fisher from Chicago, I think, called Hardcore Architecture. And he basically looks at old Maximum Rock and Roll ads where people used to list. Yeah, exactly.
I have it.
Yeah, well, that's one because it's a whole series. But there's one where, he looks at old MMR ads where like people would be like, buy my demo, here's my home address. And then using Google Maps, he shows like the picture of what that looked like. So you can see where all of these people in the bands that you loved, like, where their bedrooms were, where they were like selling, their demos in first 7 inches. So it's an interesting way of like using technology, this Google Maps where you can like basically look at locations all over the earth and see these locations that still exist that were like the starting points for these different bands or record labels, home bases. So you'll find a lot of that stuff at our site, drawdown.com. That are really just interesting ways to look back at the past and to look forward as well.
Cool. Amazing. Well, thank you again for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.
Super nice to chat with you, Josiah.
Sam, it's time to finally let the audience have their say. And I hate it. It's uncomfortable. It's difficult, but it is a part of kind of the learning and the healing process and becoming better hosts.
Yeah, we got to make ourselves uncomfortable.
We do. We just have to do better. So it's time, of course, as always, for
The Complaint Department. 155 Podcast.
The Complaint Department. 155 Podcast.
The Complaint Department. 155 Podcast.
So this week's complaint comes from Liam. And if you do have a complaint about the show, you can send it to complaints@155pod.com. You might be lucky and we might play it or apologize or be held accountable on the show. Or if it's too real and we don't feel like facing it, we might just skip it.
We will ignore it. I just like the idea of you might get lucky and have us apologize to you. Like
that's true. I mean,
it's like a contest,
an apology from us,
forgiveness. I know,
that's
priceless.
Huge. That is priceless. So
not valid in Quebec.
I don't feel like editing this after, so I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that you need to unmute this clean feed so you can hear it. Because otherwise,
I got it.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
You can mute it after, and then it won't sound weird for you.
I got it.
Do you understand? Do we need to do?
I do, but it's doubled now. You got to go. You got to go now.
This is Liam, and my complaint is that the complaints department was at the end of the podcast last week, the very end. The last thing, and it feels like criticism of the podcast is being suppressed. It feels like you're hiding something, mainly the complaints. I'm disgusted by it, quite frankly, and I think you should be disgusted with yourselves. Thank you.
Well, that's the show. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you next week.